Disney Pixar The World of Cars. Meet the Cars Part 5. This will be the final installment and the last part of this book. Check the description below if you'd like to see parts 1, 2, 3, or 4 of this book. Now, just like parts 2, 3, and 4, I will have Disney car pictures of all the cars I have here at my home from this part of the book. Alright, let's meet the cars. First we have Charlie Checker. Charlie Checker is the Piston Cup's official pace car. Charlie wears his amber lights with pride. He's not what you'd call a horsepower champ, but he doesn't mind. After all, he's always in the lead, and nobody passes him. That's exactly how he likes it. Next we have Marlon Clutches McKay. When you're cornered by a mob of ferocious paparazzi, there's no one better to call than Marlon Clutches McKay, a 20-year service veteran whose time was spent largely as an armored troop carrier. He traded in his bulletproof glass to pursue his dream of becoming a motor speedway of the South security team leader. He loves nothing better than locking grills with noisy camera sidecars and personally showing them the exit. Marco Axelbender. Never mess with Marco Axelbender. This former ATF pursuit vehicle received a presidential commendation when he blew out 3 tires during a high-speed pursuit, yet he still managed to catch the assailtant on nothing but rims. Today, he treads safer roads at the Los Angeles International Speedway, arresting scalpers and turning away the riffraff. Next, we have Brian Park Motors. Brian thought it would be fun to sell antenna balls at the racetrack for a summer. The problem is that summer was 10 years ago. He had hoped to start his singing career in September, but one thing led to another, and his part-time job became his career. But Brian enjoys the excitement of the racetrack, and sometimes when he's calling out, "Get your antenna balls here," over the roars of the crowds, he likes to imagine he's belting out a classic show tune over the cheers of his adoring fans. Darrell Cartrip. DC is a Southern gentleman and an ex-Piston Cup champion. He knows what it takes to win. He's in the booth with Bob Cutlass for every major Cup event, calling the play-by-play and adding humor and personality to the commentary. But when the racing flag drops, he's all business. That is until he shouts his signature, "Boogity, boogity, boogity, let's go racing, boys." Next we have Bob Cutlass. Bob Cutlass is a world-renowned sports announcer. He covered every sporting event from tractor pulls to monster truck rallies, including the last 3 auto games. But he's most famous for teaming up with his former Piston Cup racer, Darrell Cartrip, to announce Piston Cup racing on the Racing Sports Network. Bob Cutlass is the voice of reason to Darrell's enthusiastic and colorful commentary. Corey Turbowitz. The smoky-voiced Corey Turbowitz started her career as a voicemail operator, but her delivery of "You have 3 new messages" was spoken with such flair and irreverence that the next thing she knew, she was the #1 morning show host on the radio in the Bay Area, as well as one of the top Piston Cup reporters on television. Next we have Chuck Manifold. Chuck Manifold started out in the news business as Barry Pippinlow, but when he started covering the racing scene, he knew that he needed a name better suited for the tough nature of the circuit. As soon as he started reporting as Chuck Manifold, his career took off faster than a drag racer at a green light. Skip Ricter. Skip Ricter has been reporting about the racing scene for years. After doing volunteer radio broadcasts of race day action in college, he got an internship at a local television station He soon made his mark with the launch of his weekly race recap entitled The Race Machine, which can now be seen in 23 cities. Next we have Tim Rimmer. Integrity. That's the first rule for any decent member of the press. Tim Rimmer is not a decent member of the press though. He's a tabloid photographer for a local supermarket rag. But even Tim wouldn't give Chick Hicks the satisfaction of having his photo taken while he celebrated his stolen Piston Cup win. Chuck Choke Cables. Chuck Cables hauls from the Midwest, but somehow found himself in California covering the biggest race of the season, a live telecaster for 20 years with the Plainfield Pavement Press. He recently made the jump to RSN, Racing Sports Network, and became one of the hottest not-so-minivan cams on the news team. Hauser Boone. Hauser Boone was the first photographer to coin the new phrase, "Show us the bolt." He called it out last season at a press event, and Lightning McQueen actually turned right toward him and flashed his $1 million lightning bolt. It was indeed a proud moment for Mr. Boone. If only he'd trademarked the phrase, he could have retired 20 years earlier. Mia and Tia. Mia and Tia haven't missed a race in over a year, but they'd be the first to tell you that they are not race fans, but Lightning McQueen's fans. Painted in his signature red and covered in McQueen stickers, the girls scream like crazy when their hero races. They scream like crazy when he poses for photos, and they scream like crazy all the way home just thinking about him. Timothy TwoStroke. You will find no bigger McQueen fan than Timothy TwoStroke. He drove from New Jersey to California in just 4 days to see his favorite car in the legendary race. At the speed he was driving, Timothy shouldn't have been watching the race. He should have been in it. Kit Revster. Sometimes Kit Revster can be found waxing and renting surfboards at the beach. More often he can be found closing shop early and hitting the waves, but not today. This morning Kit closed his surf shop for something truly special, the biggest race of the decade at the Los Angeles International Speedway. Next we have Polly Puddlejumper. A mild-mannered homemaker by day, Polly Puddlejumper has rooted for the king ever since he blew past her on the outskirts of Placeville one summer afternoon in 1989. No one knows about her secret crush, and she plans to keep it that way. Matthew True Blue McCrew. Matthew True Blue McCrew has been a fan of the king since the first time he came off the production line. In fact, everything in Matthew's house is painted king blue, including the light bulbs. Because for Matthew, being a fan of the king isn't just reserved for the race day, it's a way of life. Next we have Fred. Fred truly is racing's #1 fan. Some cars have better wax jobs or attached bumpers, but do they have the heart and dedication Fred has? Not a chance. Between Fred's racing blog, podcast, website, and daily call-ins to numerous radio shows, it's amazing he has time to get to any actual races. Sid Vanderkamper. Each year, Sid Vanderkamper migrates cross-country to see his favorite Piston Cup races. Last year, on his way to Los Angeles International Speedway, he swung through Kingman, Arizona, where he found plastic flamingos at a local garage sale. Now a permanent fixture on Sid's front lawn, his plastic bird friends have earned an honored spot atop fabled Redneck Hill. Albert Hinkey. Albert Hinkey is not only McQueen's biggest fan, known as Buffet Master among friends. Ale can guzzle 2 gas stations worth of fuel in one setting. Al is the biggest and best friend anyone could ever have. RM. RM and Larry are the best of friends. These two can usually be found making trouble and talking names on Redneck Hill, but despite their rowdy nature, they are true Southern gentlemen and dead serious when it comes to racing. And last but certainly not least, we have Larry. Larry and RM know the stats on every team, which is useful because they always have a bet riding on who will be the next Piston Cup champion. Well, I'm afraid that's the end of the book. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Cars story. If you did, please check the description below for a playlist of more Cars stories. And please don't forget to subscribe for more new stories every week. Thank you, and goodbye for now.